Good. I brought down.
I heard.
And I think maybe just for the sake of you being a new face, why don't we do like a roll call and so you can know who we are and I guess our position around here. You gonna go first?
Sure. Jen Linville. I own Lily Bees, so I do garden maintenance and design.
Angela at the barbershop.
I'm not part of the committee, but I'm Stephanie Hurst.
I'm Nikki. I'm the chair of South Barstow Bid and then some of the committees here, like landscaping.
I'm Erin Klaus. I am the executive director of Downtown Eau Claire, and I have a business in the South Barstow Bid. Used to be the chair. Very familiar with landscape duties.
Yeah, right.
Billy Hufford with the city.
Okay, cool. All right. And we don't have anybody else coming that I know of. This is kind of just a reset, a catch up. We're sorry John's gone. But yeah, like I said, I think we've got all the information that we need to move forward. If you aren't aware, I feel like everybody in this room has to be because we were there. But we had an RFP go out.
Can we do minutes first?
Oh, sure, sure. Can we approve the meeting minutes?
To be from October.
Yes.
Oh, shoot. Oh, well,
This
this won't help you because my computer's not
no winter.
I don't have the court.
No.
That's all right. That's
No, it's
Yes and no. I'm gonna have to use multiple.
not okay.
okay. I got pens and pencils if you need. The only thing I was gonna note, we made a motion to move new plant replacement budget item. I just wanted to know if that got reflected. Did we? It was
Back in
for-
October of that?
Yeah, that 2,160 to plant replacement budget item for 2025.
Yeah, made a motion to move 2160 to a new plant replacement budget item for 2025. So,
That happened, correct?
if the motion was made and passed, I don't know if it physically happened, because that was
Okay.
before me. But I put a big
We'll
old
have to look
star
at
on
that.
it, so I will check it out.
Yeah, we're gonna have to, I just wanted to follow up on that because I guess I was confused. Did we take the money out of reserves? Did it just come out of a random line item that was miscellaneous
Yeah,
or?
I'll have to follow up. That was Aaron, Jake, and
Yeah.
Kendall at that
By
time.
there.
21
I wasn't at this one.
It's a very specific number too, so that's what I was.
I imagine that it would have come from the slush fund line.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah, and then if that, so nothing comes out of reserves until you close your books out, which just happened in March, like you wouldn't have seen that
Okay.
transfer. But it should be on your current financials for your full board meeting.
So
The
we'll have to look at
21,
that.
I'm pretty sure you guys decided to take it out of the slush fund.
Yeah, because, yeah, I think it was just like an odd number that.
And the
we-
slush fund's just a joke. It was a category when in 2024, they got more money into their budget than expected because we had set the mill rate before we knew
Right.
what the assessed values were. So then there was
Oh, I-
20 extra $1,000 to put somewhere. They made a
think that's
new
where it came
line.
from.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So that's the only thing.
Actually, reserves, is that what you're referring to? It's
No.
actually
Not
from my
reserves,
cash
it's-
balance.
No, not
Get with
reserves,
the
it's a
line
separate
item.
line item. Does anyone have their financials from a different packet?
Sorry.
It's kind of it was a
I probably
pool
have
of money that it was used to fund outreach when outreach had no money, and then the remaining in there was the exec board was allowed to.
Allocate it
Yeah.
however we wanted. Yeah.
Okay, I have all the 2024 end of year budgets, so I'll try to see if I can figure it out. If not, I'll send you guys
Sure.
an
Yeah.
email.
Okay. Yep. I forgot we made that motion and I just wanted to make sure that it was reflected.
Okay. I will
Other than that,
check on that.
I didn't have any other questions on minutes unless you guys do. Can I get a motion?
What do you
Just
do?
Angela. She's not even.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, no, not for me.
Um,
I'm just here.
Can I second it?
Yep.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, great. No discussion? Great. Okay, that's.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, so getting back to it, so the landscape work, so we had the RFP go out, we did have two competing businesses, me, Angela, John, I think that was
And
it.
Billy.
Yeah, and Billy. We met to discuss the RFP. And yeah, I think it was a really good conversation. We of course have hired Lily Bees to be doing the services. And right now we are just in the middle of signing that agreement and getting this work started. For the room, just to let you guys know, so there was a couple points that we had talked about at our meeting that I had a chance then to talk about with Jen, as far as things that we wanted added to the agreement. And so I'm just going to go through them because I want you to correct me if any of these are wrong before we put this in place. And this might be new for you to hear too. Okay, so yes, so we're going to be working with Lily Bees. We're really excited. Here's a couple of additions that we'd already talked about here as well. We wanted to include the timeline deadline for planter changeouts to make sure that those are happening at certain junctures. Summer by May 23rd, which I believe is Mother's Day weekend.
Yep, we got.
Fall changeout or additions by September 10th, which falls before Fall Fest.
Cool.
Winter changeout by November 14th, which falls a week before the Small Business Saturday.
Wonderful.
One thing we did discuss, I don't think this needs to be included in the agreement, but we had talked about, potentially instead of doing a 3-year changeout, maybe we do a 2-year changeout. I think maybe this year we won't be able to do that. We'll have to continue with 3 because that's what's been promised with the invoicing and things, but that's just something we discussed. But for this year, these are going to be the dates that we'll adopt. The second thing, details of the plant purchases and the location of them in the specific beds. Just so if we start kind of notating that there's a bed that's, maybe not as full as others or whatever.
Or the dogs like it the
Or
most.
the dogs like it the most, right? Yeah, I think it'll be good for you and us to kind of have a map to kind of visually see what's.
So I'm gonna start from one end and work this way.
Perfect.
So I'm not gonna buy one large amount of plants. I'm gonna start with one garden, work from there
Mhm.
and see.
That makes
So
sense. It'll make more of an impact that way as well.
Starting at Dave's.
Yeah.
I told her to start
Oh.
at Strobel Building.
That'd be probably a lot easier for you too. You know what I mean? Instead of having all those plants
Yeah.
sitting there.
Yeah,
And I'll make a map as much as, I'm gonna probably pencil them, because like I still told her that every year, obviously, grasses or anything needs to be split and moved and rotated, it's gonna happen. So,
Yeah.
but we'll at least have a plant list,
yeah,
That's a good.
yeah.
so.
Yeah, and then, I mean, we can, I think all of these things are just for our reference. If we need to fluff our budget
Yeah.
next year and we need more money for replacement plants or whatever. So yeah, so that was one of them. The other thing that we had kind of asked or discussed was getting kind of a monthly detail of labor services. We wanted to get that kind of.
I got a whole book I bought yesterday. I'm going to be writing down every single day what I'm doing.
And we're gonna, we said maybe break it down into like, what kind of hours are going for blowout, what for water and what for general maintenance. Just so we can kind of categorically see, what's happening in your week and are you putting in more hours than you think? Or
Yeah, that's what John
whatever.
said, that they keep track of that. You're probably gonna find out that you're putting in more.
Yeah.
It's fine. I just have always just done what needed to get done.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I think
Right.
that makes sense. This will be good for everybody, for your business as well.
Yeah, and I
tracking
mean,
and knowing.
if it is like aggressively different, then we know that we need more money in a line item for landscaping, This year was a little unique because we lost all the money in the world, so we didn't have a lot of flex to.
I think
play
it's
with,
gonna be
but-
really important too, Jen, if, seeing the plant prices year to year, because we know that we saw a dramatic increase about 2 years ago.
Mhm.
And then we're probably gonna see, prices going up on everything, but that will help you adjust too, so that you're not just eating into your labor because plants cost
Mhm.
more. You can really
Right.
separate those budget lines and
Yeah.
have the bids make better determinations on that.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, I mean, right, it's just for our sake, just to, check it up, but it's more for your sake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be good. And we thought so she's gonna track it like in a monthly receipt, but I don't necessarily like need that emailed. I think if you just present it at landscape meetings, that should be fine.
Okay, and maybe
Is
I
that
have print
fine?
those when I come there. and you guys
You
take a
can
look at
just
it.
include it in the invoice too, because the
Yeah.
invoice will
Oh,
have
yeah.
to include.
Be kind of
Uh,
itemized.
That's what, I have lots of questions regarding the invoicing,
Okay.
because, I mean,
Yeah.
we
We'll
discussed.
get there.
Okay.
We'll get there. Let's finish this quick and then I totally agree. Okay, so that was one, mulch. I think that's something we decided is gonna happen yearly. And so that too, we put a date, it has to be done by May 23rd every year. So again, that Mother's Day weekend. Getting a hold of mulch is just the question at large. Jen already has something lined
Yeah.
up.
So for the first couple of years, it was the volunteers did it on cleanup day. We can't do that on cleanup day because it's too early. The tulips are growing, you're flapping mulch all over the tulips. And then another thing, they would just bring bins down and then the volunteers would just do what they wanted with it. And then I was stuck doing the rest of it and there was never enough mulch. And that was never part of what I was supposed to be doing. So I was like, all right, well, next year, don't touch it. I'll handle the mulch. And then, so I paid Florencio, our irrigation guy, to mulch it. Total, it was almost $1,200 of what I paid him. And he and 4 guys with a dump trailer didn't even finish the job in a full day. So it's a huge mulch job. So I think moving forward, I talked to Matt from Trees and Brennan from Rec. We chatted about what we can do each year, and if it's gonna cost a bit money, then we need to address that. If we can do it with volunteers and free mulch, we're gonna do that. They have been discussing about doing the container thing again, because otherwise they're literally just dumping a giant pile and then the volunteers have to wheelbarrow it.
Is it a garbage can?
It's garbage cans. But the problem is April 20th, they take all these extra cans and they distribute them to the parks.
Right.
So they're trying to figure out
Timing.
the timing of everything. So that's the discussion of last when I talked to him. He said he was gonna talk to Matt and then get back to me about it. I said, but this needs to happen every single year, the same thing, and we have to plan it because otherwise, if we have to pay for it, they have to budget that.
Sure.
Right.
So
Does the full thing need to be done every year, or could it be like a,
What I've
get it all
noticed so
up
far-
and then just like maybe like half of it, like a touch up, like
We-
the second
yeah.
year? Would that-
That's kind of what we
Yeah.
talked about. This
It's
year's
have
gonna
we're have to
be,
Look at it every single year
Right.
and
Yeah.
determine that, because
Some of
I
it'll
mean,
wash out. and
yeah,
whatever, but
disintegrate.
some of it might be
some of
fine.
these trees are getting bigger, they're sucking the nutrients out of the soil. It's not a very big area of soil. So it's disintegrating faster in some beds versus others. So
Well, and now
it's-
you have the irrigation
Drip
that you have,
lines.
that you have to
Right,
cover, which we didn't have a problem before if you just saw the dirt, but yeah, I
we had
worry about
talked
that.
about, this year is gonna be aggressive. We're gonna need probably a lot of mulch and a lot of hands.
at least.
And
2
then
inches.
from
Is there-
here on out, this is like a catch-up time because we haven't really been.
No,
on
and
top
all
of
the
mulch
irrigation
for some
problems we've had in every single year as well. So
Right.
that was another thing we discussed, is I talked to utilities. This is the problem we had last year. Utilities the city would see a tiny leak in the irrigation, shut it down, let the city know. The city would never let me know. And then the irrigation's off for 3 weeks and we got dead plants everywhere because the communication was lack of.
years.
So if utilities has an issue, I asked him, if you do anything, I need to be included with that so I understand, because I can't see if the drip line is 2 inches underneath the mulch, how am I supposed to know if it's getting water or not besides the plants dying?
Right.
So, that communication needs to happen. I talked to Corey and utilities, and I told him to always include me if you shut down the irrigation.
Okay.
So, the communication was not there last year or any previous years. So
Corey,
I'll make sure he includes me
Yeah.
just so,
we're all on the same page. As
Yep.
long as I know and I
Yeah.
can call Florencio and be like, hey, he's got a key to it. He's the irrigation guy. So he can get down there, make the repairs that's needed and not wait. Like
Right.
Florencio was there for me like instantly. He knows this is important. He knows. So that day he's coming, no
Yeah.
matter what he has going on.
Yeah.
So, I think that communication needs to continue to be open to
Yep.
me so I can make sure that I do it.
yeah,
You know?
I agree.
Well, and it's really unfortunate because when the beds don't look great, it's a reflection on you.
Correct.
It's detrimental to us because we've flooded how many thousands of dollars in plant
And how many
purchases,
times have we
so,
bought in plants? And
Right.
it's just like, what?
for irrigation issues.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nope, I think that's really great. So we can, I don't know, maybe kind of while we're on the mulch discussion, is
I
there a
think-
day you guys have planned? What do we need to do as far as
Brennan just told me
volunteers?
him and Matt were gonna talk about it and, follow up, but I think we should follow up.
Yeah.
I'll follow up again, but this
Yeah.
needs to, a date needs to be in place so we can get volunteers downtown, no matter how we're gonna do it, it needs to happen.
I asked a question about so when they're in the garbage can containers.
Yeah.
That's valuable because they're easier to move around, they're on wheels, they have a cover in case you don't get to it. Is that kind of, I'm just wondering if we could talk to some of the like Earthbound buys these on huge pallets and things. If there's a way we could combine efforts, if we don't have enough in May because
Yeah.
the city has them deployed.
Mhm.
It's just a lot more, like, it's easier to line up a whole row of garbage.
Yeah,
cans
yeah, yeah.
and dump a big load of that, otherwise.
Shoveling from,
shovel-
yes,
getting
I get it.
dump loads in
Shovel,
the
shovel,
trailer,
shovel.
they dump the trailer, we're putting it in wheelbarrows, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be
Mhm.
2-3 days before we finish that.
And
So-
Decky, I think would like to help with, I think that Decky and the South Barstow bid should be like volunteer day. And we
Sounds
just
good,
get our
I
board
know.
members together to get out there and do it.
I volunteered when it's plant related.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's a good way to get in more investment from, because then they feel part of it and when they see it, yeah. So,
And understanding it too, that we need a lot of mulch on these beds. It needs to be like 2 inches thick or more to
Yeah.
keep that.
Can I
moisture.
ask, so we have, this would be a city question. We have access to the mulch. It's free and we can have as much as we need. Do we know?
That's what Matt said.
Yeah, typically it's charged to businesses, so I don't want to speak to it. If you've been talking to Matt and they're
Yeah,
making
okay.
a different arrangement.
Yeah.
I guess we
would
haven't had
be-
to pay for it in the
we've
past.
never had to
I
pay
think it would
But
be,
we only got a certain amount, so I just want to know
no,
if
they've
we.
been doing this for years. We've always
Okay.
gotten it from them.
Yeah.
But that's important to know. I do know residential get it for free. I think this would be one of those areas where like the reflection of like, hey, we do this for the bid and we spend $50,000 making sure the plants look great.
Yeah.
And then the city has the mulch available and they can provide that. That's like that good kind of.
Mhm.
Phase.
it
Hidden
might have been
tab.
something with it being combined with cleanup day. I just want to make sure there's not an issue where another business comes wanting free mulch and they're like, well, you,
See, it's not
So-
to the business though, like that's,
Yeah,
I've
this is
never,
the
I've never
public
had
good,
anything
right?
to do with the mulching, like
Mhm.
besides making sure it's done correctly.
Well, I
I've
just
never
keep
had.
coming back to like, we've talked in circles about this, like
Yes.
it's a tax. And it's a
Well,
private
it
tax, but
tends
it's
to
for
be
the
the
public good. It's in the public right of way.
It'd be kind of the same if every business owner downtown went there and got free mulch.
Oh,
but it's
decided
only
to
for
put it down.
residents for free, not for
Yes,
businesses.
but this
That's
isn't-
the part.
it's
And I'm
public
not saying
property.
it can't happen. It
Yeah,
just-
but I'm just saying
if
that
there's-
it's a public service. It's the public right of way. So that shouldn't be charged.
Here's what I think we should do. I think you should get that in writing. If you're talking to Matt and he's saying, yes, you have access to mulch, I think maybe let's just get that.
I just feel like it crosses the same line as like we talked about this
Get an
with like
email.
getting our benches put in, right? Like the bids originally had tip dollars that paid for the benches. But the benches are now in public right of way. The city stores them. And then last year we had a question about whether there was gonna be a labor charge to install a broken one. So it's not like like Nikki owns a bench. Those are public property. The public uses them in the public right of way. It should be, it should be something that is a service from the tax dollars because it's not for
Yeah.
your
No,
business, it's for the public.
I absolutely get it, but
Mhm.
you know, any business that has plants and stuff in the public right of way could ask for free mulch and so
Right,
I
but, like,
just
if
don't
you
want
had
it to
mulch, like where
end
Kitty
up being
Cat
a
Cafe has,
conflict,
that
so-
would be different than the public sidewalks.
we could,
Let's just check.
yeah.
I think there
Yeah,
are
we'll
some
just
cases
check.
where we pick it up and some cases where we
Sure.
don't. And it's probably just, like, it probably doesn't really, it's probably like no scientific theory about when, but I think we just share the work then.
Yeah, we've never paid
Yeah.
for it in the history of the
Yep.
bid.
Yeah, Matt's always just been, Matt and me have a great relationship.
Yep.
So anytime I've ever needed anything for downtown regarding the garden beds, Matt has me.
Just get that,
So-
just get an email,
Yeah.
so then there's not a question and then.
Well, and I,
We can check on it.
yeah, and we
Yeah.
can put something if needed in writing, being it is a bid and part of the city, we can word it probably that way, but let us make sure that all our i's are dotted and t's crossed so that we don't run into a.
I think
future
if you're gonna
issue.
do that, it would be important to do that for, there's questions about like when the tree in front of Tangle got hit and that's gone, who pays for that? And then the electric installation, it's now part of city property, but does the bid pay for it?
Yep.
So we have
we'll work
benches.
on all those.
Benches, garbage cans, trees, electrical,
Mhm.
mulch. I mean, all of this, it should be one fell swoop of understanding whose is whose.
Right.
Yep,
Agreed.
we'll
Agreed.
work on all those.
Just reminding you so we get it in the minutes that those
Yeah.
are all amenities that need to be considered. Otherwise, we'll be backtracking and doing the same agreement 8 times.
That's very, yes, that's good, thank you. Very important. Well, good, so cool, so, mulch is getting done. The last thing that we wanted to write into the agreement, we want to have a note of the irrigation fire up, that has to be done by May 23rd. We didn't do specific dates because of course, Mother Nature, so,
And it's
these are
actually-
all by dates.
Yeah.
And then I,
You said Corey, who do you talk to? Corey?
From utilities,
Is his name Corey?
for utilities?
Yeah.
So Corey, I have to call him for the,
If it was Corey Teets, he's not here anymore.
no, not Tees.
No.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
he's at utilities. He's
Okay.
in the utility building.
Okay.
So
Making
different.
And that's for the irrigation.
That's for,
that.
yeah,
And then
I call
that
them
for-
and they put in the line. They have to take it out every year.
What day
so
does that go in?
I have to call and schedule it.
When the weather's right.
Yeah,
I actually asked, because we've run into issues with fire ups and things like this, that you detail out how the conversation flow goes in this agreement, that you talk to the city then lets you, or well, whatever that
Yeah.
conversation is, so that we know if the ball gets dropped, we know like
Where to
where.
go to and where.
Yeah,
yeah, I just call utilities building and tell them, hey, it's Jen from Lily
Yeah.
Lee's. When is the
Oh.
thing gonna go in?
Yeah.
When is it's a meter. When's the
Yeah.
irrigation?
They
meter
place
gonna
the
go
meter,
in?
you turn it on and blow up.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the utilities department takes it out every year and then they put it in.
so that's what
So
we'll
that
have you put, the
communication,
detail of
um,
that.
Yeah, that communication, I believe I should still always be in charge of and maybe CC you in it and let you guys know what's going on.
Mhm.
But sometimes, again, he would let the city know, the city wouldn't let me know, and I didn't even know the blow was supposed to happen because the meter's gone and then we have frozen lines, et cetera. So that communication.
Few issues.
Yes.
We've had a few issues.
I
Okay,
kind of
so
know.
we're resetting here, people.
It
We're
is.
resetting.
So that communication, I don't know where it needs to fall in place or the CCing. It's literally, I don't work with email. I show up at Corey's office. I say, hey, I need the meter. So, and that's the way it's always been. I feel like sometimes email takes way too effing long and I need it done now. So showing up in everybody's office, if you see me, that's why.
Yeah.
Like I need stuff. Sometimes it is a matter of like, holy cow, the irrigation hasn't worked like for 3 weeks. Like, what do
Yeah,
you mean? So
yeah.
then I show up at your, like, what is going
Yeah.
on, you know?
And I think if
Yeah.
that is written into an agreement, the detail of
Yeah.
that and who you're talking to and the communication.
And I think when
We
you
have our best covered.
do show up at the office, if you just shoot me a quick email, hey, I stopped and talked to Corey,
Yeah.
saying we need this done by this date, so I know, so if there are
Accountability.
problems, I can help follow up internally, so.
Okay,
So, other than that, I mean, as far as the work done for this year, it's all the same. It's amending the beds, it's taking care of the planters. That kind of brings us to the next one, the adoptive planner. Where we are sitting with that is that, we're gonna work this out with Decky, like more of the details. And that at least this is what me and John had previously talked about, but I think we'd be in agreement because we don't have any more money, that we shouldn't do another push for more planters. I think we just need to let the dust settle on that for this year until we, figure out pricing, figure out the more planters we get, the more labor, and we just don't have any money to give. So, we want to take a halt on that, not to say that the agreement that she has already takes care of all the planters currently, but to add more would be more money.
yeah, especially with the plant budget.
Can we get a breakdown from Decky of
Yeah, I
what's
have
been collected, what's been
Yep, I have
spent,
it.
like with invoices?
My
So,
computer's not
thank
on.
you.
I was gonna pile it up today. So
Okay.
we're technically South Barstow still owes Decky money because Decky purchased $10,000 of planters. And then we collected the money for the maintenance and the new planters from the businesses that got them. But we are about $1,800 short, which we know where that is sitting. But I do have it broken down by business, what was collected and what was spent. There's $148 that is also owed from, so one invoice has the planters on it and like the new ones, and then one has the maintenance schedule. So I'll send those over. That being said, I will be invoicing the businesses for their renewal program again. That money, since you're not investing any, will go toward South Barstow once it's all collected. So I'll cut you a check for that when it's done. The issue that would come there is, so obviously some of that cost would go to making up the difference from last year on the $1,800 for the two planters that were never paid for, $950 a piece. And then the rest of it goes back into your plant budget for the plants.
It wouldn't go directly into this because this agreement, I think
Yeah, it
it's
would
just
go
like
back
a
to you guys.
separate, yeah.
But-
It'd be part of our landscape budget.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the other issue is if anyone decides not to renew, you're gonna have those planters still out there that need plants, but no one paying for them. So I'm hoping everyone renews because they're happy with it, but if they don't, I'll have to let you know.
We just haven't run into that yet. It's such a new program. It's.
Right, so
like-
far everyone's renewed. So,
Yeah.
and the thought when we started the program was that either the bid would take them on or resell them, in the selling process, and then we wouldn't reorder those plants. They would just become. And then we'll also need to account for, we also purchased the signs from Gemplers and then got them done at Awards and More with business names and logos. So that's part of the,
Gemplers?
Gemplers is the garden center that we ordered.
G-E-M,
Mhm.
Gempler. I've never heard
It's,
of that.
and John has all this information, so it should have been in packets from the last
Yep.
couple of years. He
He
also has the invoices with showing what the breakdown, but, so I mean, it should be somewhere in the city's files. So yeah, those come from Gempler, so if we need any new ones, I would need to know that as well.
We put that part of our budget this year.
Oh, so you guys will be ordering them. But now that then,
It's in our, budget that we, do you have a budget for this?
Oh my gosh. I don't
Hang on, I have it right here.
know. Planter plaques.
Yeah.
275.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I put that on my bid for this year
Yeah.
too. So planter blocks are 75. So if we need to purchase anything that was,
yeah, if I remember correctly, the steel signs themselves are maybe about $9, and then the printing of them is probably about 15 to 25.
yeah. And the only
So it's about
reason we would have to
$30
replace
less.
any, I kept all of them from last year, besides putting them back in the winter pots, like the ones over at Pablo I have in my garage.
But last year we had like 7 or 8 missing.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
people are gonna take them. So there is gonna be an ongoing cost to that
Correct.
service. Yeah.
Perfect.
yeah. There's
John has all of them right now.
No, they should be in the pots.
Nope, he's got some, he told me.
Yeah, he
So-
said that at the meeting.
Yeah.
Um,
We'll get you whatever. So I don't know what kind of extras we have. I don't know what he's sitting on, but John has a pile. So we'll
so,
get a hold of those.
if we can go back to the agreement for a minute, there was another thing you guys asked to be in the agreement, and that did regard one of the unpaid
Oh,
pots.
okay.
So, I don't know if you want to discuss that too.
Well, yeah,
What?
yeah.
Jen and her boyfriend owe on the pot
I do, so
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pay it this year.
for his too.
Oh, okay.
They're mine.
I mean,
You had a
we-
hard year.
I did
Yeah.
have an extremely hard year last year, so
Absolutely.
everything fell kind of apart for
Right.
me.
And we just thought maybe, before we get into agreement, we should get this cleared on some level, and whether or not we had potentially discussed, instead of it being just an outright check, do you want to take this out of potentially services, like the invoice? You know what I mean? It's a cleaner transaction, I guess.
Whatever we have to do is fine. But
Is that
so-
something we can do?
Or should I?
With
If
the
the
next-
bid wants to do like hours worked in lieu of payment for the pot,
Right,
that's up to you, that's
a
up
better
to
way to
you.
say it.
So it's 950 times 2, so it's 1,900.
Do you want to cover both?
Yeah. That's the
Okay.
whole reason I did it. So, if we can just pull it out of every month, can we just divide it?
Yeah, so I was gonna say divide it up.
Instead of
out
one
the
big lump.
season, I mean,
Then we would just have to, do we?
Then I pay for the renewal too, but I'd rather just pay cash for the renewal and then the pots themselves, we
Right.
take out monthly, so.
Um,
Does that make sense?
yeah. Will you just put that, how many
Line item
payments do
in
you
the
have?
invoice.
Yeah, I'll put the amount in the agreement, and then when you do your invoice each
Put
month,
it on there.
just
Just say
deduct
minus
X amount
minus
for
$100 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Adopt a planter.
What,
Perfect.
you get paid what, April to October?
Yeah.
How many months is that?
October.
I know.
$159.
Okay.
Is that what you got?
Just
Okay.
Well, I did long
skip
division.
2 months.
And then then I
12
can just
going into
pay
next
So
more
it's
towards it.
1,800 divided by 6 months.
Oh, 6 months, because she doesn't get
So it'd
paid
be
12.
300 off of every
Cool.
invoice. Okay. So you'll just have to when you do your invoicing, detail that out.
Cool.
Okay. Then we're paid and then, yeah.
So then any,
yeah,
that will square us up and then.
That'll square us up. And then
If you're getting both pots and take his plaque out.
I'm the one who pushed him. I'm like, you need one. You're getting one. I'm gonna get one for you. So.
But we
I
can
don't mind.
we could change the plaque to,
So I just
Maybe.
realized though, you guys owe us that money. Because we paid for it. So we're $1,900 short.
But being it'll be coming from that when you use the new money to cover it,
Yes.
So then I'll be pulling
Subtract
1,900 from the
1,800.
new money
And so.
and then pay out the difference.
Yep, because
that
the
work?
bid will have.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get $1,900 in new money. I'm renew
1,800.
19. It's 950 times.
Oh, geez, okay, 19. Well,
Uh,
then I did that wrong. So 1,900 divided by 6 months of payment. So it's actually
271.40.
316.
I'm gonna play it ahead of time. I'm gonna
316.
I'm gonna get it done.
67.
Okay, however you want to take it out and
I'll
I'll
put it on there and you'll see.
Oh,
it.
she said 6. 7 months or 6 months?
6 months of payment.
I'll get it done
I
way
thought it
before
was
6 months.
7, but we'll pick 6.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3.
Okay,
four,
so
five, six.
316.
Oh, it's 7.
67.
It's
Oh
7.
my
So
word.
271.40, 43-ish.
271. I'm gonna cross these out.
271.43. Yeah, but if you decide
Simple
on a month that you want to take $1,000 out.
Certainly.
Whatever, 7 months, that
All
helps.
right.
And then do we need to, and this is something that we can have a conversation about, not necessarily here unless you guys want to, with adaptive planner, the pricing?
Yeah,
Do we need to like look that out over and?
I don't think for maintenance. I think if you guys are going to purchase new plants, we definitely need to know because again, just as a reminder, in case nobody knows this, from 23 to 24, we sold planters in like winter. And then by spring, their quote had changed because prices skyrocketed.
Right.
And doubled. So what we were charging for the planters didn't actually build in that maintenance fee for that, what we expected.
We didn't make like any money on
No,
it.
the bid ended up having to eat that basically. So we were gonna sell new ones, that price should change. I think your maintenance price is good. I don't think you should hike again. We did hike it last year a little bit, but I think.
So what are you gonna be invoicing for the small?
I have to look it up again. I thought my computer, honestly, it's in my car and I'm just
Okay.
around the cord. I
you
think
have
it's
those
around, yep, I think it's around it's either 250 or 275 annually for the small, and for the large, I believe it's 350, 360.
Yeah, something like that, okay.
And if you do planners again, it might be helpful to get an agreement with whatever company on the prices so that you
Yeah.
don't run into that
Yeah.
same issue.
I think they were gung ho about getting them sold. And then it was something to do with, remember when we had like shipping containers stuck and prices just skyrocketed?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep,
Like,
yep.
So it was a foolish mistake to sell from the previous year without getting a quote from them first.
Yeah.
So how many planters do we have? Small and large, do we?
20 small. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking about the black planter.
Oh, no,
20
yeah,
black.
that orange
20
one.
black. And then I thought you guys said 27, but,
So let's say it's 27 and let's
There's
say
8
we
big
average out getting
8
300.
large.
Big one.
27, oops.
There's only 8 of those, like the ones that are on our corner?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Big
27
ones.
pots, we're gonna get 300. So you potentially could be pulling in like $8,000
Yeah.
from fees.
There's 8.
If we do 27 pots times about 300 a pot. Oh my God. 300.
Yeah, and that was the goal, like that would cover
So it'd be about 8,000.
financing them.
So then we take that 1,900. So basically what I'm saying is, we're gonna have a landscape light item of potentially $6,000 that we will be able to bring back to the table, discuss how to use it. So whether we want to do like a big landscape project or if we want to, I don't know, buy
So the
more
other-
planters or whatever, that's gonna be kind of a fun thing that we'll get to do this year.
The other thing to consider about adaptive planner would be to shift the program over to Decky. And again, we wouldn't be keeping those monies for the plants. But it's the part about if we're expanding the program, like North Barstow bought some this year, but in case their businesses decide they want to do it, the problem is collecting individual money from businesses that then go back to the bid. And that's why Decky did it in the first place. But we could be a Decky run program. And then of course the monies that gets collected by bid go back to the bid.
We don't need to make a motion on it or anything. We can do that. at a
Oh yeah,
later
I'm just
date.
throwing it out there.
But I agree with you.
Yeah,
I would
and-
rather take it out of, because you're mixed in with like North and Water Street. I think
Yeah.
this program should fall.
And we had
I
some
don't-
businesses outside of the bid that wanted to do things like this. And you and I have talked about this, but like Cannery District area had talked, we had individual businesses that requested some there. So it might be smart to have this be a Decky led program partnering with the bids, in the future.
Yeah.
We've
I think
discussed
Julie
it for
will
sure, and
definitely
yes.
do.
And-
Julia was really confused on how it all worked.
Well, because she didn't sell them.
Yeah.
So the bid purchased those.
Correct.
But if like,
I get,
the problem is some people
She
saw them there and they're like, hey, we want signs just like South Barstow has. Julie was like, no, these are our bid pots.
Yeah,
And it's a
Yeah.
very confusing situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So in just case stuff like that comes up in the future and for the pods, I did check, we could collect the money,
Right.
but we can't sell items. So that's where the issue comes in of us doing it, so the money
Right.
goes
So
directly to
more
the
so
bid
it
that
just
way.
makes
Yep.
sense
Yep.
that we throw this over to
Yep.
Becky, yeah.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I don't know, do we need to like, do I need to put that in the next agenda and make a motion on it, or can you
I think
just
we should
give it
talk
to-
about the framework of it. I mean, right now Decky's ultimately
Absolutely.
handling it,
Right,
because we have.
Yeah.
But I think we should strategically talk about it and I can bring it up with the other bids too, to see their interest in the program. But,
Mhm.
maybe you should keep it on as like an active conversation.
okay.
And then hopefully by maybe budget time, we have a decision on what that looks like.
Yeah, I'll make sure that that gets on the next agenda and then we have an action item in case we have to
Yeah.
like make a choice or decision on it. But there's nothing we are doing to move forward with it at this juncture, so we have
Except
time.
me. I'm gonna bill people.
Except the bill.
Yeah.
On this agenda or the full board agenda?
I think we could handle it at landscape.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
don't
would
think
say,
we
so
need
you
to
have
talk
something
about it.
like to present to the board.
Exactly. Yep. Okay, so yeah, I think everything sounds really good. Can we set a date for the invoicing?
I was gonna try to do it by the end of this week.
Okay.
I do have an incredible amount of things on my plate. It is pretty easy because what I'll go and do, last year I sent out QuickBooks invoices. The things with businesses is a lot of them don't all pay the same way, right? So
Yeah.
some people want to pay checks, some people. So I'm gonna start with an email reminder. I'll send that bill out and then I can, we'll see who comes in. Like Tom took about 18 years to pay and
Sometimes
then
you gotta
he
chase them down.
made me do it from his phone on a credit card. It was crazy. But yeah, so I would say about half of them paid through the QuickBooks invoices last year, so it should be pretty easy.
Okay.
And then Pablo, we should talk about when those get, I just want to let them know they pull theirs. They didn't this winter
they
though,
didn't pull them.
but they also didn't have us put winter grease in them.
Because they pulled them. So I don't know why they.
Well,
didn't
they had a
pull them back.
leadership change, so I'm sure that
Okay.
it just got lost. So typically Pablo pulls
Oh.
them and puts them behind their building because during the snow, when they do snow removal, they just don't want to have anything there for
Yeah.
valet service.
Yeah.
So at least they're out now. I was just gonna say we'd have to pull them back out. And then the urban design needs to, urban style pot.
Yeah, it needs to be moved.
I don't think it's been moved yet.
No.
Okay.
No. I've
Just a
kinda
reminder.
advised.
I also, do I have?
Matt was gonna do it and.
Urban style, do they also need a plaque?
They do need a plaque.
Okay, so let's get that ordered
Yeah.
like ASAP.
Should I just?
What
Well,
is with
should I-
urban
should
style?
I
They're getting.
I'd like to do a full order. You get a discount with quantity, so you should just go through all the black.
Go with that?
Okay,
Is that part of my budget then and I pay Becky?
In the past, we paid for it, but again, moving forward, if it's in there,
It's in my budget now, $375.
again, with the RFP and you being able to do it and not having to get like quotes on that, I think is fine. And again, for Wards and more, and then Gemflers, I have the invoice I can send you so you can see the exact sizing and
so yeah,
stuff.
maybe if you can go through all 27
figure out.
pots and find out. Yeah,
And order. them.
And I did the
Got it.
design work for the planters,
Okay.
so I have those files. If you just give me the list of names, I can update them and then I'll send you the files or
We'll
send them
work
over to
like a
Wards and
team.
more.
And
well, and
check with John. I'm pretty sure he said he had plaques.
he does, yeah,
So,
yep. I don't know if
Before
they're
ordering
vacant
stuff.
Yeah,
or,
curious to know what they're for. Or the little ones?
no, they're the stakes. He's got the
Oh,
holders.
so they come in packs of like whatever, so
Oh, we
I
have-
think he might have like 8 extra
Yeah.
packs.
Got it.
It's not, yeah.
So that we didn't have to order from Gemflers. Yes,
So let's
that
try
makes
to,
sense.
let's
So
try to
not
line up,
printed ones.
let's try to line up the plaque ordering with the invoicing.
Yep.
Because of course, if people aren't paying, then we gotta take off the plaque or whatever.
Oh, they don't pay for their plaques. That
Should I
is part of the
invoice?
package.
No, but like,
Oh.
we wouldn't have their name on it if they're not paying.
I see, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe we don't order the plaques.
I'll do the
until-
invoicing. I have
The
so
end
many
of
things
next
to say.
month or
It
something.
will be pretty simple. I'll try to get them sent out today and I'll give people a timeline, like if you're interested, you need to have them in by, I would say maybe end of the month, and then that way it gives you a month. Gives you
Yeah.
longer than a month, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we like end of April, we'll do an order for plaques.
And Wards and More turns them around pretty quick. I would say it was about less than a week last time.
Really? Okay.
Mhm.
End of April plaque order. Love this organization. feels like nothing can go wrong, right?
Stop. Don't say something bad.
Okay, so okay, mulch is our next agenda item. We've already discussed that. I don't think there's
What
anything
else
more
are we
to say. The next one, I put on here, and
I
we'll-
just wanna go back to the service agreement.
Sure.
If we can, please, with the 3-year, and that was something we were discussing too. Is that not something we can do, or is that a new
What-
RFP every single year?
No, it won't be a new RFP. What we'll do, we can't do 3-year because it's dependent on budget year to year. So
that's what I thought. I
yeah,
didn't-
if the bid decided, we're not gonna pay for landscaping anymore, then there's a contract out there that can't be funded. But what we'll do is we'll put language in there that contract will continue to the next year. What we're doing with, the DECI contract, is it'll say with new budget and, approval of new, DECI, quote, so that you're not stuck at the same price every year.
Yeah.
So we'll put language like that in there, just knowing your cost can change year to year. Or if you want, we can put in there like with a 3% increase every year or something like that.
I think
But
it has to
it's-
be discussed every single year, once we
Yep.
look at my hours and stuff for what I'm doing.
So
Yeah.
similar to a
That was-
rolling contract. and then-
Correct.
Yep.
It just like, and then I also put wording in there too, if they do decide not to do landscaping, or if they decide to go with somebody else, I would like at least a 60-day notice for
Oh,
that,
of
because that
course.
is my,
Career.
60
Yeah.
day,
at
okay.
least,
Yeah.
because it's important for me.
I
to-
totally agree with that when we talked about it. We
Yeah.
also,
Gotta pack your
um,
stuff and move.
Yeah, we typically put 30 day, but I'll make sure it's 60
If it
day.
could be, it's me
Yeah.
and myself, I live.
No,
by
I get
myself.
it.
It's
I
my
get
whole
it.
life, so
Yeah.
if anything changes, I need to
Yeah.
plan that, so.
Yep.
so then the
And
next.
so that would apply for some reason. If you can't do it anymore, then either party who wants to exit the contract, 60-day
Yeah,
notice.
yeah.
So,
And then we had discussed at the RFP meeting, that we're, we're not doing an RFP in February again. We're gonna do it like in November.
Okay.
So we don't
start,
need to.
we
do
don't need to do the RFP, but you'll need to start talking about it for your budget
Yes.
at
So we
that
don't need
time.
to do-
So
But any RFPs,
Yeah.
yeah.
Unless you are, you're like fully firing me. then-
Oh, right,
You know what
yeah,
I mean? Then
yeah.
I just
Right.
require 60-day, then you would
Mhm.
do a new RFP. So we don't have to do a new
Yeah.
RFP
but
every year.
they need to talk about it before their budget, so
I
they'll
would
need to start
recommend,
kind of reviewing your
talk to
hours and
your budget
all
meeting,
that to decide what budget for next year will be, because they'll need to start doing that in like August.
Budget and RFP together.
So it is, we do need to do an RFP?
No.
No.
Okay.
Mm.
We're just talking, so even maybe not you, after they set their budget, they really should have the list of like, if any services need RFPs to start in the end of August, so that they're done by the end of the year to move forward. But for you,
Right.
it would only matter 3 years from now, potentially.
Well, we're not
Well,
saying a 3-year.
And we're not even
No.
gonna put 3 years in, because if
It'll
it,
just be
it
rolling.
can continue for 10 years
Oh,
unless you
okay.
guys decide to quit, unless you want a 3-year in there, but
I
I would
see.
just say continue
I
it
just really
unless you're
wanted
not happy.
security was
Yeah.
my biggest thing. That's the only reason I put 3-year on there. I just, like, I have a loan with Regional Business Fund and I have a loan with the city regarding my store. So I'm like, if I can't pay that, I have to figure something else out or I'm leaving. Like,
Yep.
that's my
Mhm.
thoughts.
But
Yeah.
you guys
Sure.
will need to, before you submit your budget, have a conversation about how much you're gonna do for it the following year.
Right.
So that should probably take place in August. So
Yeah.
not the RFP, but talking about, hey, we need to increase it, and you come in with, here's what I think I need for next year, and you guys deciding if that's okay.
Mhm.
Or
And you
if
guys
not,
start
that's
those
where you decide the 60-day thing.
Conversations in June and July.
Yeah, I think
So-
July is our first.
That's the hard part, is like, you're just getting started. And they're already talking about next year.
I put a lot of hours in between July and August because of the heat and the watering, and it's just a lot of care during those 2 months. So we can generally see throughout July.
And I would say
What
after
can
this year,
happen.
I'll have a lot better idea.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, yes. Mhm.
I gotta go, but, I just appreciate you all being here and I can never help with anything, let me know. Don't it really hit the spot?
We'll be contacting you when the mulch comes in.
Bring your friends. I gotta say about the planters, but I just, at City Hall, it's fun because this duck has come
Yeah.
every, like, I think every year I've been
Every-
here, so for the
yeah.
last 3 years, so I just go down there and look, I don't know if it's the same.
I think it
It
is.
seems like it must
You think
be.
they would be?
It's such a cool, like.
I'm gonna tell you, I think that same duck starts at Clancy's
He
in the
does.
morning.
They hang out.
It usually eats the bird
Because of the
seed.
There's a trail up to.
Yeah, they hang out in the Valley Brook
I mean,
office roof and then watch, and then when he goes and feeds,
I like
yeah.
looking at the pictures of it last
Yeah, I
year.
know.
Yeah.
And then the dogs and Clancy's get really excited.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then, do we need to sign this contract before I start invoicing?
Yes.
Okay, how fast is this gonna happen? We
I'm
need money like
hoping-
20 years ago.
Yeah, I'm hoping, let me look at, we had a very urgent thing come up yesterday, so my schedule's kind of been thrown in a loop. I'll talk to you, Erin, in a minute. I have one of yours done. I just did it myself and sent it to legal to approve, so we didn't have to wait forever. I'm gonna try,
Am I making the fixes on the contract or are you?
I'll
You guys-
update them so that I can get it right to legal and say, hey, are you okay with this? And usually, they can get back pretty quick. It's when I ask them to do a contract from scratch, it seems to take a while because as their priorities come in. I should have time after 3 today. I'm gonna go ahead and block it out. And I'll work on getting that updated and up to them, so hopefully I can have it back to you tomorrow.
Okay,
If not, I need to come in Friday and work on some invoices. So if not, Friday at the latest.
cause
We had talked to, you know, cause I know there's been some things in the past with like invoicing if it's not detailed enough. Since we're gonna be in an agreement and have this RFP with all the language, how detailed are her invoices?
like,
gonna
what do I
to
need
be?
to just say?
So it'll need to say like labor, X number of hours, like, 10 hours at, and I don't remember what was in the RFP at $20 an hour and then the total. Plants, and then you don't have to detail the plants, just attach your invoice or receipt, to that showing what your cost
So-
was.
Can I show you what I invoiced Nikki this morning?
Yeah, I was
Because
gonna
I
say,
wanted to look over it
Yeah.
with you guys to make sure that this is correct, this is how it's gonna be, because what happens is I invoice on a Monday or a 15th or something. They approve them all by Wednesday, checks go out by Friday. In that time frame, if it's not done before Wednesday, I have to wait a whole nother week to
Right.
get paid.
Yep.
or if it's
and
not
my
done right or not detailed enough,
It's,
like,
and then
yeah.
it kicks out,
So-
and then it goes through emails, and then before I know it, I miss another week. So then it's the third week going on, and I'm like, I have, it's my entire income is from the
Yep,
city.
so we'll get all the things set up ahead of time. I think one of the problems before, and this was with many organizations, the invoice was getting sent to multiple people. And I think everybody was like, oh, they're working on it.
Mhm.
Oh, they're working on it. And nobody was working on it. So,
That's why I started sending it straight to Angie
Yeah.
downtown, because she
Um,
would send it to accounting and then. and
but
then
she
because
had to get either
A
Jake
signature
or
from
Aaron
Aaron
to
to sign it.
approve
Right,
not
approve
me,
it.
yeah, there.
Yeah.
I would put everybody on it before, like, I didn't
Yeah.
even invoice John. I would
So-
just go straight to Angela, Aaron, and Jake.
Yeah,
That's
so you'll
who I
need
sent
to
it.
send it to Nikki or whoever else ends up being the chair. They'll sign it, send it
And
to
then
me
Billy now.
and Aaron, and we'll get it processed.
Well,
I
can you,
I
can
think
you
on the
send
agreement-
like your sample invoices to Billy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Can you
and I
look
can
at
look
them?
those over and give you any.
Just so like immediately
feedback.
when we get this agreement signed, then she can send
so
invoices.
maintenance,
Okay.
so on I have right now, I have maintenance, and then I have plants, and then I say summer pots, and then the amount, and then I have soil, the amount, and then I have plants, the amount. That's what I literally have on the first one.
Yep.
All that can be sent.
Send it over so I can look at it. Finance usually wants like, a little detailed, not just soil 300, like soil, a yard, or, 20 bags or something like that.
Send over your sample.
let's.
But they
and then
also,
we
like,
can discuss it.
like I do them for Catholic Charities at
Okay.
Community Haven House. And they also like all the receipts for what is being detailed. Obviously, your labor, you can't and stuff, but just attach your receipts as details
to
for your
attach my
chargers.
receipt.
No, let's make sure we find out about this, because I had that same question. I talked to Kitsy about it, because she was saying that like once we got approved, I was like, Becky is the contractor and we subcontract out.
But that's different than us doing it.
Well, right, but she's the contractor and she's subcontracting out with like an Amish farm and
Yeah, like some of-
Purview, and so her
Well-
plants come from all over. she is a private business. She should have the right to charge $8 for a plant. She paid $5.50 for potentially because that's business. That's how it works.
Get picking up the plants, like all, like that's how I.
Yeah, so I guess I just want to confirm,
But I would invoice that, you know.
That's what I'm saying, this is getting.
but then she wouldn't need the receipt.
Because that's part of your labor, going to pick them up and that's part of your labor.
No, that's garden maintenance, it's separate, so me picking up soil is a whole separate trip.
See, and I would see that as labor because it's work that you're doing.
So then we're putting labor into a different line.
So are you looking, so let's say we have $300 for soil. Are you looking for the detail of soil at 50 yards costs 200 and labor hours to pick up and?
Yeah,
So she wouldn't need a receipt from Menards showing that she
Would you
paid.
need a receipt attached to that, or could you just?
Would still need receipts for the physical items that were purchased. So like
I've never
Catholic,
done this with
Kitsy
any
just told
company.
me something different, and I just feel like I just want to get clarification before we say absolutely or not. Partly because of the RFP portion.
That's what, I mean, the whole point of an RFP is that you don't have to deal with all this invoicing,
If
right?
we're buying the plants from Jen, though, could it just be worth, so she can go spend $10 or $5 on the plant or whatever, but we're actually buying them from Jen.
Correct.
So couldn't she just draw up a receipt
That's
that
what
she's
asking.
charging us?
I'll
this amount
check
for
on
the
it
plant?
because we're being charged by Catholic Charities for what they do at Community Haven House, but in their invoice, they say internet services. They include the receipt of the internet services. They say they went and bought supplies
you're-
from
yeah, you don't
Walmart.
have
They
an RFP
include,
Well,
With-
they're
you
not
don't have a
profit, they're
RFP
not
with-
reselling things. I just feel like it's a I think I just want to get clarification. Because it matters to Decky too, because I'm doing the same thing. Well, and it matters to like Thomas Lee Lighting, for instance, like if he has to go buy a bracket for a banner pole or something from Menards, he should be able just to charge you for it and not have to have the Menards receipt, because he might have also bought 18 other things for other projects. It's putting a lot of pressure on a subcontractor.
that's okay. It can be on the same receipt. They just show.
I'm just saying, I don't
what
know.
was.
This is one of the things that we're trying to not create more work. And if these systems are in place for other groups in
Right.
different ways, we just want to make sure, I'm just, Billy,
Yep, I'll check.
compared to what we just had the meeting on last week, which it changed in 2 minutes after Dave had a conversation. I want to make sure we're not creating more work for our vendors
Right.
or the
Or
bid.
you guys,
Yep.
Or you.
know.
Nope, I
Yeah.
agree. These are some conversations I've had, but I'll double check.
Yeah,
Yeah, cause when I ultimately, like, if I work with any customer, I'm not giving them the receipts from where I got the plants.
There's
Like
a markup.
never, there's a
Markup.
markup,
Yeah.
there's all sorts of stuff. I mean, I have insurance to pay for, I have all this stuff to pay for. So ultimately I get paid.
the other
$10
thing
an hour.
is, we've only agreed to pay so much to this vendor. So
Mm-hmm.
if soil does cost more and she undershot herself, well, that's on the vendor, unfortunately. But you know what I'm saying? Like, so a receipt shouldn't matter because what we are agreed to
Check.
in our
'Cause,
contract.
yeah,
is
the
what we're agreed
RFP,
to.
you don't have an RFP with down to earth,
Right.
like you have it with me.
Right.
So I would invoice you.
And
what
if we
I
gotta go through
paid
this
for.
invoicing process every time, why did we even do an RFP? We could have just called you for.
And that's why we'll just get clarification. I know it just feels conflicting. We haven't settled all of this yet. And I think that the bids and Jen would obviously benefit from not having to do that work. And so if it is acceptable through the RFP as a contract, we just need to know. And it's not that I don't believe you, it's just that things change every day and it just happened to Decky. And so I feel like for those reasons, I'd prefer like really clarifying this before we say.
Yeah, because like this, how long is this gonna take too? Because right now I was supposed to order plants from Down to Earth in January
Right.
for them to grow them. And now everything's gonna be starting in the next 2 weeks. I mean, April's right around the corner and
Mhm.
now I have to wait for a contract. I have to wait for receipts. Now this conversation, like how long is this?
I
gonna
can
take?
have the contract ready to go. Kitsy's on vacation this week, so I won't be able to talk to her. I can talk to accounting, but I've talked to accounting and that's what was shared. So if it needs to go higher, I'll have to wait till next week, talk to Kitsy.
So
And Greg can't help with this question, you don't think? Isn't he acting finance manager?
He is, but usually if it's an accounting thing, he refers me to Jennifer.
In the meantime, get your invoices over to her.
Yeah, send me an
See what that
example.
looks like,
So,
and we'll start there.
Oh yeah, cause it has plants on there.
Right,
'Cause ultimately, yeah, I need the money to go buy the plants.
right.
So.
Right. do they give you like a receipt
They give me a
beforehand? Like, can they get you one now?
No.
Okay,
Well, I mean, they can give me a quote.
I know, and that's just messy. Yeah, okay, I get it. And you know what? We need to know this too, because moving forward with our conversation and
Exactly.
working with
Cause
Dex.
that's one thing, I think something needs to be changed or something, because we've given her a plant budget that's not labor, because she still has labor. I don't know, I think something just needs to get worded different in there, like if, I don't know, if I'm gonna sell shampoo, I'm not
I
gonna.
was just thinking, if I got my hair done.
I mean, if she's growing, she could tell us that she's growing all these flowers in her greenhouse. She
Mhm.
doesn't have to tell us where they're coming from.
Exactly.
This is your receipt, this is your plant.
That's what the
you're
money we
selling
agreed
it.
to give you.
So.
Yep,
that's-
okay.
And I'll double check on it
Because I
all,
mean, I'm not
so-
getting what plants just from, I'll go to Augusta and
Yeah.
get plants, you know.
Well, that's
and
what
all
big
the
Amish-
Amish farms, they don't
yeah.
give me a receipt, like,
Yeah, I mean, we're buying the plants from you.
from me, not,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can I ask, and on any level, does somebody have an RFP and then take that entire promised budget and give it to them on one receipt?
Most,
Instead of all these little piddly, like monthly and whatever?
I can't speak for all of our RFPs. Ones I've worked
I mean,
with,
has anybody ever done that?
they're usually required to show detail of their cost.
And detail isn't enough as saying like labor, soil.
Correct. But
It's gotta
I'll-
be deeper than that.
Yeah, I'll check and I'll explain as you guys explained it, but, and I'll check and see what we can figure out. And if I have to go above Jennifer, I'll talk to Kitsy Monday.
The idea is get you paid ASAP.
Yeah. It's just going in, I know this will take another month.
Well, what's not gonna take long is we can still get this agreement without that information. We can still sign an agreement. Correct?
Yeah,
I don't wanna put any more like in front of just signing an agreement, because that is how you get paid. You get paid when there's an agreement. This other BS is, you know,
I know, it's still
Whatever it is.
detailed, like.
Yeah.
It's.
not gonna be
another
eager
month
agreement,
is gonna be
but-
passed. I'm
But
not
if we
mad.
get that
Can
done
we
in the
loop
next.
Dave Solberg in on this, because he just did this for Decky, and I know they're not the exact same agreement, but they're an RFP where a service provider is doing a service. I just think that we need to,
I can talk to him today too.
I think that's important, just because, like I said, we spent an hour in a meeting talking about stuff that was totally opposite of what he told us 10 minutes later, so.
But he also had to go to other people to find out accounting rules and what.
Right, and he did, and he found out that we didn't have to do it, and that's why I just,
And that's
really,
why I
it's like
said I
their
would
comments in the email
follow
of
up.
like, let's not, I'm not trying to fight with you, this process is gonna have to last long-term. Billy?
I told you I would go to people and find out. If you want me to talk to Dave too.
I want you to talk to Dave, that's what I'm saying, because Dave just solved a
I will,
problem that
thank
we
you.
spent an hour and a half discussing in 2 minutes from having a separate conversation.
Okay, can we move along with the agenda?
Yeah,
Can I say something quick? These agreements matter so much long-term. We're doing hard work right now and having uncomfortable conversations, and there is a bunch of different people having different opinions of how this should be. It is not set yet, and that's why I'm asking for more time on that.
I think that's.
The ideal situation, which we make this as easy as possible, so the work gets done, the benefit is to the community, and we're not causing problems. So if there's a possibility of not having her have to prove again that she paid $5 for a plant from Menards and then another one, that would be ideal to everyone.
Yep.
And so that is why I'm pushing this. I'm not trying to start a fight, but I am trying to make sure that when we set precedent in this space for the first time,
Mhm.
that we are doing it in a way that is beneficial to all parties. And so I don't want to find out tomorrow and a week from now that it could be something totally different. We really need to know before anything happens so that you go into your year knowing exactly what you're doing. It's the same with Decky. We're already into second quarter coming up here,
Mhm.
and there's nothing set. That doesn't benefit our organization. It doesn't benefit the bids. It doesn't benefit your business. We need to figure it out.
Yep.
So
And as I've said
That's where it's
multiple
coming
times,
from.
I will follow up on it. So
And we'll get
if we can
Dave
move
looped in and
along,
keep
that
us,
would be
okay?
awesome.
All right. Yeah, okay. Moving on, Eau Claire cleanup. That's the last agenda item that I have here. I just wanted to talk about, we had discussed potentially doing mulch. We're clearly not doing that. That's fine. I wanted to,
April 19th.
it's April 19th, Saturday. Decky is not running it.
No,
like they
no.
had in the past.
Well, we don't ever run it. We always partnered and sponsored. We're no
Okay.
longer sponsoring the event because our funding is cut, so we're not
Yep.
sponsoring this event. We already provide the tools for the event. So we have about, I don't know, 30 rakes and 30 hand hose, whatever. So we bring that all downtown. We have Water Street set up, and then we have a point central to North and South Barstow where volunteers can come pick up their supplies. So it's still being done by Parks. She just reached out yesterday again, kind of confirming. Ideally, what I want to talk to Claire about is in the future, either Decky just provide the materials and that's it. Or if we're doing it, we would just want to plan kind of volunteer labor
Mhm.
for probably for North and South Barstow specifically, because there's projects going on all over the city.
Yep.
And last year we had some projects that the bid wanted done that didn't get done because we weren't able to kind of direct those volunteers.
So what do you need from us?
Well, A, I need to know if anybody wants to volunteer to help. B, mostly what I need is projects that you guys know that need to be completed in your district. And then we'll send that over to Claire so she can put it on her list for volunteers.
I think one thing I wanted to talk about, and that if you have any other ideas too, I think Barstow and Graham get a lot of attention, and I think our district is bigger than that. There's like Schlegel Milch and some of those businesses back there. I think it would be nice to see all corners of our district
Sure.
instead of the main streets. I did the cleanup last year and there was like not a lot to do. Because there's so much already always being done on Barstow.
Well, now with the
um,
ambassadors too, you might.
And
see
now
an
with the
improvement.
ambassadors.
There's like graffiti on that mailbox out in front of my shop since I started down there. The first day I saw the guy, he come down, sprayed
Write
some
it down.
stuff on. There's stickers left on there, but the graffiti's all gone.
Yeah, it's really amazing. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I guess I was just feeling kind of strongly about, because I think that we forget that we're more than just Barstow.
When is your meeting, your next meeting?
For full board, 15th.
Okay,
So it's right before.
yeah, so I think what we should probably do is send an email out to board members to see if anyone wants to help volunteer that day. We'll have the Decky booth, so it's whether it be volunteer actually doing something, but I will need people in South Barstow handing out and collecting rakes and stuff. I'm a soccer coach and it's the first game of the season. I have 2 teams. There's no way I can be here. So similar
Yeah.
to last year, where you were there with Matt, like just being able to.
Yep.
That unless it's
And I
gonna be
plan
you
to come
again.
down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we just need to find a few volunteers that will be able to help pass out materials.
For the record, I strategically placed all of our meetings before like big events.
Good. Thanks.
Yes, I did. Just so we can remind everybody to come out.
If one of you want to type up an email on that and send it to me, I'll send it out to the full board.
For the cleanup? Okay, yep, that'd be awesome. Yeah, so that's the only thing I had there. Because I know we're like a few minutes over, but I wanted to like announcement. I don't know any information on this, but I'm just wondering if anybody can up to date me on the trees and the stunting. I think there was maybe an email that had been passed from Dave. Yeah, we know. Do you know about that? Do you know about that? What's going on?
The like electric box thing.
Not specifically that tree. I'm
It's a
talking
growth
like
Regulators.
stunting.
It's called a growth regulator.
And they never did it last year.
Yes, so there was conversations about doing it.
Some of them needed to get bigger, he was saying. They need
Okay.
to get taller or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
There was
So
a
Matt-
reason not to do it.
And it's Matt.
Well, Matt Stoudemire met with us multiple times to talk about this. So the growth regulator can be used on any tree at any time. Like that's not a problem. He said that we have a lot of adolescent trees in our bid and that, and actually we hadn't had them shaped in a very long time and that was part of it as well. So the idea is to not let the trees grow too big that they have to be shaped so often and then cuts into our
Mhm.
lighting system.
Yep.
So my understanding was from that email, and I can go look back, I'm just like trying to pull from my brain. So Dave, if he had it his way, would have every tree stunted immediately. They identified, so Matt and John walked around and
I was there
identified,
too.
okay, Nikki,
Yeah.
about 17 trees that could get the growth regulator. Like I said, it can be done anytime. So I imagine it's just bringing it up to Matt again and seeing if that's gonna be done this year or not.
Is that something that we want to, since you have such a great relationship with Matt, is that something we want to lean on you to talk to him
Well,
about?
if we're meeting anyway, we can bring that up. There is gonna be a cost to that as well, so the bid would be billed
Presenting?
for it, yeah, for the hormone. He doesn't like the words.
Yeah, the hormone.
It's growing at a different rate. Growth
Aw,
hormone
that's
regulator,
sweet.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay, the growth regulator.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
But yeah, I think we should have. a
I'll
meeting.
find that email
I
and
think
send it
if
over
we
to you.
can- I can forward you guys Matt's email and Brennan, but I
is
think
this
we
something
all
maybe
should,
me and you can
Yeah.
deal in?
yeah, talk about the mulch date, what they think,
Tree
what can happen,
stunting.
all that needs to be finalized.
Perfect.
Tree stunting, and yeah, we'll have to.
With the Eau Claire cleanup, just to mention, just pick up garbage out of the gardens.
So that's
nothing
the,
else.
yeah,
I don't know if we wanna put it, for them to get the greenery out of the pots, if you guys want me to do that.
well, that's where I think year after year, what would be nice, and I have talked to Claire about this, is working specifically with you on projects that you need help at the beginning of the year to cut some of that cost
Yeah.
times, whatever. So if you
I say
have
clean
those
it out.
projects.
Cause they can garbage bag them up and get them out of there.
The pots,
Mhm.
we wanna keep the white.
It won't be
birch.
frozen by then, or, oh yeah.
We
Keep the
wanna
white
keep the white
birch.
birch and the red twigs,
Yeah,
the red dogwood that's in there.
okay, maybe
But
you and I
yeah.
should chat quick and write an email to Claire on that stuff,
Yeah.
because she can add it to the list.
The only other spots that I thought that could really need, some love is, Lake Street, on that corner by that dog grooming place, what's that called? Right there,
That's what I'm saying, like our extension of our
Yeah.
district, like past
It needs to
Lake
be
and past Farwell are just not touched.
a lot of the debris from the road right there, Lake Street's really busy, so a lot of little pebbles and rocks get thrown there. So every spring I go and
On the sidewalk.
yeah,
in
they
front
need to
of-
be swept.
Okay.
So there's areas that just have rocks all over. So, I mean, if people are gonna be volunteering, that's easy. They can just.
Our
sweep
next
the
meeting's
rocks
at
and everything.
10:30, so we get some time. I can help you guys rate
Uh,
this email.
Another
Right now.
suggestion I have for you guys is to, Claire needs to work with the street sweeper guys. And after the Eau Claire cleanup, I think that's when the street sweepers should come downtown, not before that, because what happens is they're coming before or,
They just
and
were
then
out
they
the
clean
other
out
day.
there and then we're cleaning it out again and now the streets are dirty again.
Yeah,
So I think, working with the street sweeper guys to get out there after the cleanup would be phenomenal.
because they timing, so they are already obviously sweeping streets,
Yeah,
and they
they're-
have to do it legally, it's like once a week or something.
It's
so
every
stuff
other
is getting
Friday,
ground
which
up every
another
other
thing,
week, every
Billy,
2
I don't
weeks.
think has been done. When I started this, I do a blow on the streets every single Thursday. I do the main strip of Barstow up and down. And I noticed that the streets were not getting swept. So, I called the city, or I called the guys and I said, hey, when do you guys come out and do downtown? And legally, they are supposed to do it every 2 weeks.
Oh.
And
He said they hadn't been there in about 6 months, but they had the timing different because it was when cars were there, so they did
Correct.
change it
yeah,
to
they
be out
started
at
doing it more.
like
often.
5 in the morning.
Yeah, super early, Friday morning, so that's why I made my blows on Thursday, so that
So we should just
everything
can kind of
was-
confirm that schedule with them
that
again.
should be confirmed, because I know that they're not sticking to that. I
Yeah.
know, last year I know they weren't. The year
Well, you'd be
before
able
that,
to
when I
tell,
first
yeah.
started with them, they did,
Yeah.
and then I think a
Do
new
you have
lead
anything
or
you
something
can think
happened.
of?
Sure.
But it should be done every other Friday.
We'll talk about it again at full board.
Yeah,
If
I
we
think
have
it should-
anything else.
Yeah, and if
Should be
they
good
change
stuff.
their day, that's the same concept, you should know
Yep.
because you'll change your blowing day.
Yeah.
Yep. I
Yep.
will check. on that.
That is all I've got. I know we're kind of running a little bit over, so does anybody else have any other announcements for land?
For landscape, hanging basket.
No. Oh, thank you.
Let's do it, let's do it.
I'd love to, I'd love to.
I missed my hate basket.
Oh, geez.
Do we, I know, are we all just kind of hanging out until the next meeting, or are you guys leaving?
Well, we have to be.
Yeah.
here for the
Is
next
there,
meeting.
anyone else joining? Rita?
Just read it.
Rita.
I do have one more thing then, as long as we're all gonna have to
Yeah,
sit here.
and I wanted to chat with you too, real quick, because you'll be
Yep.
leaving.
Yep.
Yep.
If I could.
Can I just ask where we're at with the tree in front of Tango?
The tree, I don't know. I
Okay.
think Dave and Dave worked out an
Dave's are just
agreement.
handling it?
No, it's more on the electric.
On the
terminating.
electric box.
So I think the understanding is that the electrical box above ground is bid responsibility, but below ground is city responsibility. At least that was the conversation around it.
So we'll just have to pay for that.
Yeah, so the electric isn't damaged underground. Jeremy Bowie told me they had to turn off electric to that whole street because it's connected. well that's unstable, and until they replace the tree, there's no point in putting in a new electrical box. And so obviously trees get planted spring and fall. So that's another thing we can just ask, Dave asked. Strobel really wants a larger tree placed there. The tree that was there was pretty small as it is. But, I don't know about that. A tree would be nice no matter what. And then we can get the electrical working. But, one thing that we also need to make sure of, because I met with Thomas Lee Lighting recently, is anytime these issues happen, like the tree got cut down and just like tossed, but all those lights on there, if they weren't damaged, are bid property and you could reuse them. And so there's a cost to that too. So we just want to make sure that, again, having that conversation, if a tree is damaged, just knowing that, again, maybe Decky is the one who collects the lights back. We just need to be aware of it so that we don't lose out on some of those things, those assets.
So at our next exec, April 1st, or we moved it, but whenever it is, we'll just have to, I'll put an agenda item that we'll have to ask to take that money from reserves so we can get that paid and
On the
Figure it
full
out.
board.
Money for,
for this electrical box.
yeah, so, if that's been determined, and I think, honestly, I think they're
Dave
about
should know by then, I guess.
I think he's supposed to get a quote.
yeah.
So,
We have prices per the boxes were ordered from like Amazon years ago, but I think if I remember correctly, an installation of one with the new box and everything is right around $150, $160, but again, prices can change, so.
Is anything new happening with electrical at all in any of the gardens, just for future note? Because I know last year we had issues, the electrical company ran that
Well-
conduit and destroyed a lot of irrigation.
So that was from when the streets got revitalized like 15 years ago. The city actually didn't, well, not the city, the electric company didn't install 3 areas where there should have been electric that was paid for from the TIF dollars from the project.
Mm.
So that all got sorted out. You guys split it with the city, South Barstow split the work with the city. So that's why those got interrupted like through your season. As far as I know, every single area you're supposed to have electric has electric now. So unless you were looking to add more, which I don't even know, there is one other
Any
tree.
money, Aaron, we can't add anything.
There is one other tree that doesn't have, it has lights wrapped on it, but it doesn't have an electrical base. So
Oh, I
either,
know which,
Yeah.
what you're talking about. This.
either there's no room to put one there because of how tight the tree grates are on the tree, or, so either you'll take the lights off that tree or you'll install that would be the only other one, and it's not a planting bed, it's a tree grate.
And I'm curious too, underneath the city obviously is a tunnels. How deep are these gardens? Do we have any idea how deep these gardens are? Because what's scaring me most.
That's a
with
Matt
the
question.
gardens-
He would know that, because he
Um,
knows how far down these tree roots go.
Right, that's what I'm saying, is the tree roots are eventually, the trees will get so big that they're taking over, like the one in front of the Lismore. That entire garden, people pee on, the dogs, people pee on it. The dogs are peeing on it all the time, so I have that to deal with, and
We
then
don't
the
know who's
roots are
peeing
getting
on it,
so big that they, like, when I try to plant something, it's straight roots. So, and that's sucking the nutrients from other plants as well as the dog pee and all of this stuff. So I'm just curious, like, how deep these gardens go, and, working with Matt, it's not like I can take a rototiller in there and really uproot the soil.
Yeah.
Because
You'll have to ask him, I have no idea.
that's just something I'm noticing as these plants are growing, or the trees are growing bigger, there's no soil. I mean, it's just.
Well, and that's where that growth hormone is important on the trees that are established,
Right.
to just, because it stops the root growth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, so tree stunting, you're gonna talk to Matt? Or, oh, God. I gotta even like take it off my
EPC
nose.
about this, please.
Tree what?
Growth hormone regulator, the regulator. Regulating.
I know, I need to be more peace. Okay, done. Hey, adjourned. Thanks
These
for
are our
coming.
friends.
We'll get your agreement going as soon as possible
Mhm.
here. I think it is, yeah, it is really important to know that.
Yep.
We need to get specifically yours done, so.
And I've unless it's something that I just don't understand how to start and get going, I think going forward, I'll just
Mhm.
work on agreements myself and send them up to legal for feedback instead of letting legal, because they have a lot of stuff, and I was
Yeah.
checking every 3 days or so, twice a week on the Decky one. And, they have to prioritize their work like all of us, and if I would have just wrote it and sent it up there, I think we could have got it done a ton quicker, so.
So what I
think that was how
emailed
far
you,
so
Awesome.
They've sent
you
it
could
back
just
to me
forward
last
it,
night,
Haley.
so I have
Okay.
it to send over to you, I just haven't had a chance.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. I'm gonna run and get my cord.
Cause you're gonna write the rest of the agreement if she forwards you on those.
She sent it to me, so I'll read through it, and then the stuff that,
This is the updated.
These are
one.
the updates that we just discussed that
Okay.
we wanted to add in, so
Okay.
that would need
yeah,
to
if
be.
you want to send it on over, and
Okay,
I'll review it and send it to legal to review.
you
and-
guys, I think we got a lot done.
I know there's so much going on.
There
Um,
is so much, I know these meetings are long and there's a lot of
If you guys
information, but
get the Decky email on the outreach, I didn't get the outreach notice.
Yeah, we're working,
Yeah.
so Rebecca was supposed to have all these meetings on the calendar
Sure.
before she
Yeah.
left.
And then,
And-
yeah, okay, cause I was, she's like, "You've outreach tomorrow," and I was like, I only got
You wanna save
2
your
messages about landscape.
Okay, so, yeah,
Not that it's not, super important, cause I won't be at all the committee meetings, but
yeah, we're
um,
trying to get you on all of
yeah,
the
okay,
meetings. So,
perfect.
and some of them I think she set up, you may not have been on, so we just
Sure.
need to review everything. And
Yeah, and if we can,
and
jot
South
them
those
down.
meetings are tough
I'd
because
say more
she
detail.
just
on
willy-nilly
this.
scheduled them instead of the third Thursday of every,
For their committee meetings?
for all her meetings. And we have to put each one in individually instead of reoccurring.
Oh, you mean North Barstow?
No.
Oh, her?
The laboring of the pods?
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I
I thought it was North Barstow, so I was kind of surprised. It was kind of like every 6 weeks, but not. And I was just like, oh,
Theirs is like the, first Thursday of every.
okay, so maybe it was the schedule that I was like, it has no flow, and now I'm confused.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Okay,
So
I'm gonna run. How many minutes do we have? Maybe my housing office friends have time for me.
Yeah. Time. And then you need to talk to us?
Yeah, if I
Okay.
could just for a minute.
Yes, and then, okay, so you're forwarding on that, and
I'm
then
doing it right now.
we will send an email to Claire, and then me and Aaron will have a conversation with Matt. Okay?
Okay, then. Okay, bye.
All right, thank you for coming.
Good seeing you. Always reach out to me if there's any problems, because there's times I just go sit in people's office until they fix things.
Yeah.
They're like, oh God, she's here, let me take care of
Aaron
it.
White. And he's like, what do you need?
Help
this.
Yes. Thank
See you
you.
later.
All right.
So one of the concerns you guys brought up in the meeting, that's not why I said the receipts, that's typical what we do with RFPs. I'll see if we don't have to, but you guys brought up whether all the plants being purchased were actually being planted. So do you want the receipts? I didn't want to bring that up in.
Is it on the RFP, the dollar amount that is allotted to purchase plants?
Yeah, but we can still ask
I think
her to
that,
show how many she's buying.
I say no. I think
Okay.
the receipt game is gonna be very heavy, and I think we have enough other things in play that we're watching.
Okay, I just
think
wanted to
question-
double check
yeah,
with
I
you
would say-
because
I
it
thought
was
that-
brought up and.
When Aaron first started wording it, I kind of put it in just the sense of selling product and whatnot too.
Yep.
That it, if she wants to take the time to drive around to 10 different places to buy plants on clearance.
nope,
it's-
I
we're
get it.
Buying them from her.
Yep.
So I guess I kind of changed my opinion on that
Okay,
with the talk.
I just
today.
wanted to
Yeah.
double check and,
Yeah.
and I'll still,
Got all the heat for that because that was a question, but I did see something different in it today. That is.
no,
yeah.
but that is normal what we do, but I'll
Mhm.
follow up based on the fact that she's selling us the product and adding her cost into the
Mhm.
product and I'll follow up on
Yeah,
it that
like
way
I-
to see.
Like I just told her, like, I think it is her selling us the plant. So I think like, she could break down what she is charging
Yeah.
us for the plants. So then we could look at the receipt and say, well, she just charged us $75 for a tulip. Maybe we don't want to buy them from her next time. So I think she should drop a
Have her
receipt.
like break
Yeah,
down
her drop a receipt of what she.
12 pastas,
Yeah,
10
what
and
she's
the price
charging us
per each.
for them, yeah, but then we're buying them from her.
Okay, and I'll double
Yeah.
check on the receipts. Normally, they do have to provide information like that, but I'll explain how this is kind of a different situation.
It just doesn't,
Yeah.
that's the whole point of an RFP is to have less work. and-
Yeah, if she breaks down what she charges us, we know what they cost, so I think we could, if we think we're getting overcharged, then.
Mhm.
So that I think,
Works for me. I just want to clarify.
yeah, sorry you got all that, again, sorry you.
No, it just gets frustrated when I say I'll follow up and then
Yep,
it's still a
yep.
10-minute argument with me saying I'll follow up,
Yep. yeah,
10
I-
10 times.
I
and,
saw the different side of it today and I kind of, it